Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this audio, we will continue al-Qushayriyyah, Epistle on Sufis. Before that, if you still not subscribed, please subscribe and press the bell icon. So let's start. Abu al-Abbas Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Sahal bin Ata al-Adami. He was a great Sufi master and scholar. Abu Sa'id al-Kharaz used to praise him highly. He belonged to the generation of al-Junayd and was a companion of Ibrahim al-Maristani. He died in the year 309. I heard Muhammad bin al-Hussein say, I heard Abu Sa'id al-Qurashi say, I heard Ibn Atta say, he who obeys the ruling of the divine law, God will enlighten his heart with the light of divine gnosis. And there is no better station than following in the footsteps of the beloved. May God bless and greet him in his commands, his deeds, and his moral character traits. Ibn Atta said, the greatest negligence is when the servant of God neglects God. May he be great and exalted. His commands and prohibitions as well as the proper manners due to him. I heard Abu Abdullah al-Shirazi Ibn Khafif, may God have mercy on him, say, I heard Abu Abdurrahman Ahmad al-Sufi say, I heard Ibn Atta say, whenever you seek something, you should seek it in the arena of religious science. If you do not find it there, look for it in the field of wisdom. If you do not find it there either, weigh it on the scale of God's oneness. And if you do not find it any of these three places, then strike with it the face of Satan. Ibn Ishaq Ibrahim bin Ahmad al-Khawas. He was a friend of al-Junayd and al-Nuri. He had vast knowledge of trust in God and spiritual self-discipline. He died at Ray in the year 291. He suffered from a stomach disease. Therefore, each time he had to stand up, he had to perform a major ablution. Once he entered water and died there. May God have mercy on him. I heard Muhammad bin al-Hussein, may God have mercy on him, said, I heard that Ahmad bin Ali bin Jafar said, I heard that al-Azdi said, I heard that al-Khawas said, 5 things serve as a cure for the heart, a thoughtful reading of the Quran, an empty stomach, night vigils, supplications in the early morning, and keeping the company of the righteous. Abu Muhammad Abdullah bin Muhammad al-Kharaz. He came from the city of Ray and resided in Makkah. He studied with Abu Hafs al-Haddad and Abu Imran al-Kabir. He was one of those who practiced scrupulous discernment. He died before the year 310. I heard Sheikh Abu Abdul Rahman al-Sulami say, I heard Abu Nasr al-Tusi say, I heard al-Duki say, I came to Abdullah al-Kharaz after I had fasted for 4 days. He said, one of you has fasted for 4 days and hunger has begun to call upon him. He then said, if every living soul were to perish for the sake of what it expects from God, do you think that would be a lot? Abu Muhammad Abdullah al-Kharaz said, hunger is the food of the ascetics and remembrance of God is the food of the gnostics. Abu al-Hasan Bunan bin Muhammad al-Hamal. He came from Wasit but lived in Egypt where he died in 318. He was a great man who was known for his miracles. Someone asked Bunan about the most exalted spiritual state of the Sufis. He answered, trust in what is determined by God the fulfillment of God's commands, the protection of the heart from temptations, and withdrawal from both words. I heard that Muhammad bin al-Hussein said. I heard that al-Hussein bin Ahmad al-Razi said. I heard that Abu Ali al-Rudbari said. Bunan al-Hamal was thrown to a lion. The lion sniffed him, but did him no harm. When he was brought back, someone asked him, "What did you feel when the lion was sniffing you?" He said, "I was thinking about the disagreement of the scholars regarding the saliva of wild animals." Abu Hamza al-Baghdadi al-Bazzaz, he died before al-Junayd. He was a friend of al-Junayd and studied with al-Sari al-Sakti and al-Hasan al-Musuhi. He was an expert on Quran recitation and a jurist. He was a descendant of Eissa bin Aban. Ahmad bin Hanbal used to ask him about various legal issues. "What do you say about this Sufi?" They say that he was speaking to students at his assembly on Friday, when suddenly his condition changed for the worse and he fell from his chair. He died on the next Friday. They say that he died in the year 289. Abu Hamza said, "Whoever knows the path of God Most High will travel on it easily, and there is no better guide on the path to God than to follow in the footsteps of the messenger. May God bless and greet him." As regards his spiritual conditions, actions, and words, Abu Hamza also said, "Any man can stay away from evil deeds if God has endowed him with three things: an empty stomach with a content heart, continual poverty with constant asceticism, and continual patience with constant recollection of God." Abu Bakr Muhammad bin Musa al-Wasti, he originally came from Khurasan, from the region of Farghana. He studied with al-Junayd and al-Nuri. He was a great scholar. He resided in Maro, where he died after 320. Al-Wasti said, "Fear and hope are two reins that restrain the servant of God from behaving improperly." He said, "The quest of compensation for the acts of obedience to God springs from the forgetfulness of God's beneficence." Al-Wasti said, "When God wants to disgrace his servant, he throws him into his perversity and rotting corpses." He meant the companionship of the youth. I heard Muhammad bin al-Hussein, may God have mercy on him, say. I heard Muhammad bin Abdul al-Aziz al-Marwazi say. I heard al-Wasti say, "They have presented bad manners as sincerity, the greed of their souls as freedom of action, and their lowly aspirations as firmness of character. Through this, they have lost the true path and found themselves in a narrow spot. There is no life in their spiritual visions. There is no piety in their speeches. Whenever they utter a word, they reveal anger. When they make a public address, they show vanity. The impetuosity of their souls speak about the perfidy of their inner selves, and their voracious appetite for food testifies to the darkness of their hearts. God assail them, how perverted they are." I heard the Master Abu Ali al-Dakkak, may God have mercy on him, say, "A man from Maro once heard a pharmacist saying, on Friday, al-Wasti was passing by one store on the way to the cathedral mosque. Suddenly, a strap of his sandal broke. I told him, 'Sheikh, would you allow me to repair your sandal?' He said, 'Go ahead, repair.' After I repaired the strap, he asked me, 'Do you know why the strap of my sandal was broken?' I said, 'No, tell me.' He said, 'Because I did not wash myself for the sake of Friday.' I told him, 'My lord, here is a bath. Do you want to use it?' He said, 'Yes.' So I took him to the bath and he washed himself." Abu al-Hasan bin al-Shaykh. His name is Ali bin Muhammad bin Sahal al-Dinawari. He resided in Egypt where he died. He was a great Sufi master. Abu Usman al-Maghribi said, I have not seen any Sufi master who was more enlightened than Abu Yaqub al-Nahrajuri. Nor did I see a Sufi master who was so full of awe of God as Abu al-Hasan bin al-Shaykh. He died in the year 330. Someone asked Ibn al-Shaykh about providing a proof of an absent thing by using a thing that is in evidence. He said, how can one provide proof of him who has no semblance or equal by using the attributes of those who have both semblance and equals? Someone asked him about the characteristics of the Sufi novice. He answered by quoting the words of God. When the earth became straight for them for all its breadth, and their souls became straight for them. He also said, the spiritual states are like lightning. When they last, this is nothing but self-deception and prompting of one's lower nature. Abu Ishaq Ibrahim bin Daud al-Raqi. He was a great Sufi master of Syria who was friend of Al-Junayd and Ibn al-Jalla. He lived a long life and died 326. Ibrahim al-Raqi said, divine knowledge is the assertion of God as He is and placing Him beyond whatever one might imagine about Him. He said, God's power is evident and the eyes of men are open, yet the light of spiritual sights has grown dimmer. He said, the weakest of people is he who cannot repel his passions, and the strongest of people is who is capable of repelling them. He also said, a sign of love of God is when you choose to obey Him and to follow in the footsteps of His Prophet. May God bless and greet him. Mimshad al-Dinawari. He was a great Sufi master. He died in 299. Mimshad said, the good manners of the novice consist of obeying the commands of Sufi masters, serving his brethren, abandoning everything except the essentials, and observing the good manners prescribed by the divine law. Mimshad said, I have never entered into the presence of any of my Sufi masters without first divesting myself of everything that is mine in order to partake of the blessings that are imparted to me by seeing them and listening to their instructions. When anyone enters into the presence of the Master with something that is his own, he will be cut off from the blessings of the Master's vision, admonition, and instruction. Khair al-Nasaj. He studied with Abu Hamza al-Baghdadi, met al-Sari al-Sakti, and was a friend of Abu al-Hussein al-Nuri. He lived a very long life. They say that he lived 120 years. Al-Shibli and Ibrahim al-Khawas repented during his preaching, and he was the teacher of many others. They say that his name was Muhammad bin Ismail. He came from Samara. He was named Khair al-Nasaj after the following episode. He set out on a pilgrimage to Makkah. When he reached the gate of Kufa, a man seized him and said, you are my slave. Your name is Khair. Khair had a dark complexion. He did not object to the man, and the latter employed him as a weaver of silk. Whenever the man called Khair, he would respond, at your service. After a while, the man told him, I was mistaken. You are not my slave, and your name is not Khair. So he went away and left the man. He said, I will not change the name that was given to me by a Muslim. He said, fear is the whip of God by which he straightens the souls that have grown accustomed to bad manners. I heard Abdul Rahman al-Sulami, may God have mercy on him, say, I heard Abdul Hasan al-Qazwini say, I heard Abu al-Hussein al-Malki say, I asked one of those who were present at Khair al-Nasaj's deathbed about what happened to him. He answered, when it was the time for the sunset prayer, he lost consciousness. A few moments later, he opened his eyes and pointed toward the door of the house, saying, wait, may God protect you, both you and I are servants, who take their orders from God. What you are ordered to do will not elude you, whereas I shall miss what I am ordered to do. So he called for water and performed an ablution for the prayer. He then stretched himself on the bed, closed his eyes, uttered the Shahada, and passed away. Someone saw him in a dream and asked him, what did God do to you? He answered, don't ask me about this. All I can say is that I have finally found rest from this filthy word of yours. Abu Hamza al-Khurasani, he was from Nishapur, from the quarter called Mulkabad. He was a friend of al-Junayd, Abu Sayyid al-Kharaz and Abu Turab al-Naqshbi. He was a scrupulous and righteous man. Abu Hamza said, when someone is frightened by the reminder about approaching death, he begins to love everything that is permanent and hate everything that is transitory. He said the divine Gnostic strives to maintain his life day by day, and he receives his livelihood day by day. A man asked him for a piece of advice. He answered, prepare provisions for the journey that lies before you. I heard Muhammad bin al-Hussein, may God have mercy on him, say, I heard Abu al-Tayyib al-Aki say, I heard Abu al-Hasan al-Misri say, I heard Abu Hamza al-Khurasani say, I wore a woolen cloak in a consecrated state. Thus, year after year, I travel 1,000 farsakhs, while the sun was rising and setting on me. As soon as I left my consecrated state, I hurried to re-enter it again. He died in the year 290. Abu Bakr Dullaf bin Jadar al-Shibli, he was born and raised in Baghdad. Though his ancestors hailed from Yurushana, he studied with al-Junayd and his contemporaries and was himself a great master of his time in his spiritual state, acumen and knowledge. He adhered to the Malki school of law. He lived 87 years and died in the year 334. His grave is located in Baghdad. After al-Shibli had repented during a teaching assembly of Khair al-Nasaj, he came to Dimawand and said, I have been the ruler of your land. Now discharge me from my duties. At the beginning, his self-exertion on the path of God had no limit. I heard the master Abu Ali al-Dakkar, may God have mercy on him, say, I was told that he rubbed a lot of salt into his eyes to prepare himself for night vigils. Therefore, sleep never overtook him. The great respect for the divine law that he showed on his deathbed, as reported by Bakran al-Dinawari, is an ample example of his great piety. I heard Sheikh Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, may God have mercy on him, say, I heard Abu al-Abbas al-Baghdadi say, at the end of his days, al-Shibli, may God have mercy on him, used to say, there are so many dangerous places in this life that were I to perish in any of them, I would be a stern warning for the rest of the family. During the month of Ramadan, al-Shibli used to exert himself more than any of his contemporaries. He said, my Lord has revered this month, and I am the first of my fellow human beings to glorify it. I heard the master Abu Ali al-Dakkar recount this story. For this video, we will finish here. We will continue in the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and till then, goodbye. Allah Hafiz.